major breakthrough has been announced in the investigation into the shocking murder of an Imo traditional ruler and 5 other people. The Nigerian police force says one of the alleged kingpins of the criminal syndicate linked to the killings has been identified and neutralized following a series of intelligence-led operations in Ohaji, Ibema, Imo State. The developments could be a major turning point in a case that has raised serious questions about organized criminal activity, the safety of traditional rulers, and the ability of security agencies to dismantle violent networks operating across parts of the state. But there is a bigger question. Who ordered the attack? Why was H.R. Eze Barrister Paulinus Ekwueme, Ochia I of Ochia Kingdom, targeted? And how many people were involved in the operation that ended with the death of the monarch and 5 others? According to the Nigerian police force, investigators may now be closer to answering some of those questions. In a statement signed by Force Public Relations Officer CSP Ani Inidu, the police said operatives from the Special Tactics Squad and the Force Intelligence Department carried out a series of operations between August 2nd and August 6th, targeting members of the criminal syndicates allegedly connected to the April 10 attack. The operation eventually led officers to a hideout in Ohaji, Ibema in the early hours of August 6th. Inside that operation was a suspect the police described as a major figure within the alleged criminal network. His name was given as Ojugo Iluma Martin, popularly known as Acid. According to the police, Martin was identified as an alleged leader of the syndicates linked to the attack, but the encounter did not end with an arrest. The police say Martin engaged operatives in a gun battle and sustained injuries during the confrontation. He subsequently died at the scene. Investigators recovered an AK-47 rifle, 3 magazines, and 56 rounds of 7.62 mm live ammunition. Those recoveries could become important pieces of evidence as investigators attempt to establish the operational structure of the group and determine whether the weapons were connected to the April attack. The original incident occurred on April 10, 2026. According to the police, the monarch and 5 other people were traveling along the Asa Awara Road in Ohaji, Ibema, while returning to Owerri when they were attacked. The killing sent shockwave through the area. A traditional ruler was among the victims, making the incident particularly sensitive. Traditional rulers occupy an important position within many communities across southeastern Nigeria, serving as a custodians of culture, community leadership, and local dispute resolution. The murder of a monarch therefore carries significance beyond the immediate loss of life. It raises questions about whether criminal groups are becoming increasingly emboldened and whether people occupying prominent community positions can operate safely. Since the attack, investigators have arrested 4 suspects in connection with the case. The police also say 2 other suspects died during previous encounters with security operatives. Now, with the reported death of Martin, the investigation has entered another phase. But this is where caution becomes important. The death of an alleged gang leader does not automatically establish the full circumstances surrounding the murders. It does not, by itself, reveal who planned the attack, who financed it, who provided intelligence, or who physically carried out the killings. Those questions still need answers, and the police appear to recognize this. Following the latest operation, authorities say efforts have been intensified to apprehend other members of the syndicates who are still at large. Investigators also want to establish the full extent of the suspects' involvement and recover additional operational intelligence and exhibits. That could be crucial. Criminal organizations rarely operate through one individual. A gang involved in a coordinated attack may have people responsible for intelligence gathering, transportation, weapons, surveillance, communication, and logistics. So identifying one alleged leader could potentially provide investigators with information that leads to other suspects. But it could also trigger another challenge. The remaining members of the syndicates may now attempt to disappear, destroy evidence, or relocate to other areas. That makes the intelligence gathering phase particularly important. The police have said the investigation will continue until every person found to be connected to the crime is brought to justice. That is the standard the public will now expect, because after a high-profile killing like this, an arrest or the death of a suspect during an armed confrontation is only one part of the story. The bigger test is whether investigators can establish the complete chain of events. Who identified the Monarch's movements? Who knew he would be traveling along that particular route? Was the attack spontaneous or was it carefully planned? Were the victims specifically targeted? And was the criminal group acting alone? These are the questions that could determine whether the investigation truly reaches its logical conclusion. The recovery of an AK-47, 3 magazines, and dozens of rounds of ammunition also highlights another problem facing Nigerian security agencies: the availability of sophisticated weapons within criminal networks. When heavily armed groups can establish hideouts and engage police operatives in sustained gun battles, the issue goes beyond conventional street crime. It becomes a question of organized armed violence. That means the authorities must not only arrest individuals, they must dismantle the networks that supply weapons, provide intelligence, and enable criminal groups to operate. The police say their latest operation was intelligence-led. That detail is significant. Traditional policing methods can sometimes respond to crimes after they happen. Intelligence-led operations attempt to identify suspects, locate hideouts, and disrupt criminal networks before they can carry out further attacks. The success of the August operation could therefore provide investigators with valuable information about the structure of the syndicates allegedly responsible for the April killings. But Nigerians will also be watching what happens next. Will more suspects be arrested? Will investigators recover additional weapons? Will the police identify the motive behind the attack? And most importantly, will those who planned and coordinated the murder of the Monarch and the 5 other victims eventually face justice? Those are the questions that remain. For the family of Eze Barrister Paulinus Ekwueme and the families of other victims, the police announcement may provide some hope that the case is moving forward. But justice requires more than announcing a breakthrough. It requires evidence, accountability, and a complete understanding of what happened. The death of an alleged Kingpin may have removed one important figure from the criminal network. But the investigation is not over. The remaining suspects must be identified. The alleged organizers must be established. The weapons and intelligence recovered must be properly analyzed. And the full story behind the April 10 killings must come to light. The Nigerian police force says it's committed to bringing everyone connected to the crime to justice. Now, the public will be watching to see whether this latest breakthrough becomes the beginning of the end or simply another chapter in a case that still has many unanswered questions. Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you find this report informative, kindly like, share, and subscribe for more news reports. I'm Chidera Isom. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next reports.